Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday and Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. You can post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @Pless. I have a couple of announcements. First of all, Bookmap is currently having the 4th of July sale that goes on through Friday. You can scan the QR code here for more information or just go to bookmap.com. If you're thinking about Bookmap, this is a great opportunity to get 50% off Global Plus and data. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of that. Also, for those of you who watch on YouTube, my webinar on Monday was part of the Pro Trader webinar series. It was available on Bookmap Discord only. It was recorded, and that recording will be up and available on the Bookmap YouTube archives sometime very soon. So sorry if you missed that, but the recording will be available. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. That certainly applies to the large cap tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And we'll certainly see an example of that today. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow on Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. And I will be going through both of these steps today. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat in YouTube for your questions or comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, July 9th. First of all, I wanted to go over news items, economic data, and events for the week, for today and for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started. First of all, economic data, the FOMC minutes come out at 2 p.m. today. might be a market mover, probably not, but I'll stop whatever I'm doing, and we'll take a look at the S&P 500 index, ES futures, and Bookmap, and get a sense of the market reaction to the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. All right, so that really is the only higher impact news event for today, for this week. So again, FOMC minutes, 2 p.m., and I'll stop whatever I'm doing. We'll take a look at ES for a few minutes to see if there's any impact on the index. All right, let's move on to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I'm going to step back, take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX, that's the underlying index. This is a thinkorswim chart showing a 1 year, 1 day chart. So the recovery from the drop that began right around the February expiration is complete. So the recovery is complete. SPX making new highs. And here's a breakout, gap up breakout after the June expiration. Again, with SPX moving up to all-time highs. All right, so let's take a look now at a shorter time frame. Let's go to a 30-day, 1 hour chart. All right, so here's the move higher after the June expiration to all-time highs, then a bit of consolidation after that. All right, let's take a look at levels on this chart. I'm going to start with the expected moves. The dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market. This is based on the closing price for SPX for, in this case, last Thursday because of the 4th of July holiday on Friday. So that is and those levels remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX. From yesterday, I do post those levels in Discord in the Options-Doug chat channel every day. So SPX did break out above that level earlier today, now trading back down below the upper daily expected move. So we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. All right, so those are the expected moves, again, based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from the previous day or the previous week. All right, let's take a look at the spot gamma levels on this chart. These are shown with the dark red lines. They're based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to spot gamma subscribers. And I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the absolute gamma strike is at 6,000. That's a strike with largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And just above that is the put wall at 61.95. That's a strike with largest net negative gamma. It can be expected to act as support. That level did move up slightly, 5 points from yesterday. All right, the next level up just above that is the volatility trigger at 62.20. The volatility trigger is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And that is based on Spotgamma's older model that assumes that for an index, that traders are long puts and short calls. Market makers take the opposite side of those positions. So that's based on Spotgamma's older model. And that level remains in place. No changes from yesterday. Same for absolute gamma strike. Then the call wall has moved up to 6,500. That's a strike with large net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. That level did move up yesterday, so no change from yesterday, but it did move up on Tuesday from Monday, giving SPX much more room to run to the upside. So that's a level that's expected to act as resistance. And it has moved up from 6,300 to 6,500. So again, plenty of room to run higher for SPX. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. So this week, again, remember holiday shortened week last week. Then this week, SPX gapped down on Monday and trended down most of the day, closed just right around just above the 6220 volatility trigger. And then chopped yesterday. That was not much of a trading day. I did not find trading in ES very interesting yesterday, but a very tight consolidation range with support at the 6220 volatility trigger. Then a gap up today, sharp move down, and now SPX grinding up again toward the 6250 level. All right, so the levels in play, SPX levels in play, 6250, large gamma 4 level, then at 6255, a combo 4 level, and just above that, the upper daily expected move for SPX. Let's take a quick look at SPY. So no Spotgamma levels in play for SPY. 620 is the absolute gamma strike. And note, earlier today, the 621 level acted as support, just a round number level. All right, so that's SPY. All right, back to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, so you've seen I focus on SPX and SPY levels, and I note those levels on my ES chart. I use the price lines add-on to do that. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. For example, here's that 6250 level. And then the 55 level just above that. And there's an offset, again, a difference in price between ES and SPX. And that is 45 points today. So ES minus SPX is 45. So I'm showing SPX 6250 at ES 6295. And note the liquidity at that level. There are some limit sell orders right at that level, at the 6250 level. So we're not the only ones aware of the importance of the SPX levels. And then again, here's the support at the 621 level, the SPY 621 level. And note I do post the index relationships that I use every day in Discord. And then here, this dashed blue line, and that's just below this 6260 level, the SPX, that was noted as resistance. That's the upper daily expected move for ES. So earlier in the day, ES moved up above that level. We'll talk about setups in just a few minutes. So I'm going over levels in play for today right now. So very bullish opening drive, a lot of call buyers. Again, we'll take a look at that. Sharp drop lower down to the 621 level, and then consolidation. So you can see this is the session volume profile. Most of the volume for the day concentrated in this 62.82 to 92 level. All right, let's take a look at, and again, shifts and levels. Put wall 5 points higher for SPX. SPY, there were no shifts and levels. Again, remember that very tight consolidation yesterday. No shifts and levels. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. NQ futures, similar Similar chart. Let's take a look at the underlying index charts. Then we'll get back to the NQ futures of Bookmap. Let's go to QQQ. Bullish opening drive. Then a sharp reversal lower. And a few QQQ levels in play for today. 557. That's a combo 4 level. And 555, large gamma 3 level. And just below that, another combo level. And there's been a lot of price action around these two combo levels and the 555 large gamma 3 level. That's QQQ. Let's take a look at NDX. And NDX also stuck in a range between this 22,799 level, which is a combo 1 level, and just below that 750 level, which is a large gamma 4 level. So it looks like NDX is stuck. Well, that was a big bar. NDX stuck around that 799 level. Let's go back to Bookmap. Let's see what's going on. I don't know, there might have been some news. All right, so just like ES, I have, in the case for NQ, I have NDX levels and QQQ levels on this chart, and also key NQ levels, like that upper daily expected move. And again, NQ did trade up above that level quite a bit earlier today. Found resistance right around the NQ 23,100. All right, shifts in levels for NASDAQ. For NDX, the volatility and trigger and put wall shifted higher, and there were no shifts in levels for QQQ. Again, remember the narrow consolidation yesterday. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at Gamma, and then we'll get to the setups in the live market. All right, so I want to take a quick look at Gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the Gamma curve at the beginning of the day, and I look at this for a reference every day. So again, this is market maker's position on the Gamma curve at the beginning of the day, based on Spotgamma's older model. Note all these numbers are positive with the exception of IWM, but very close to neutral. All right, so that's again based on Spotgamma's older model. Let's take a look at volatility based on the newer model. And this is the trace tool. This is for SPX. Red shading showing negative gamma, blue shading showing positive gamma. So you can see right now SPX trading in a zone of negative gamma. So remember, a negative gamma, we're expecting higher volatility, more movement, and then in positive gamma, less movement, more mean reverting price action. And that's exactly what happened earlier today. Let's step back in time. I'm going to go back to, let's say, about 11 o'clock. You can see the pocket of positive gamma right here. That's shown with the GEX bars, gamma exposure bars on the left, as well as the slight blue shading down below. And that's where SPX found support earlier today. That's right around this strike right here. This is SPX. 62.35. And let's go take a look at Bookmap. So that would be, when you add 45 points to that, that would be 62.80. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go back to ES. So here's 62.80 right here. So ES found support at that positive gamma down around 62.80, just a little bit below that, as it moved into that zone of positive gamma. Remember, there were 3 GEX bars, 35, 30, and 25, making up that zone of positive gamma. All right, so we're looking for higher volatility as price moves up into the positive, negative gamma. So let's go back to Hero Trace here. All right, so let's move on. Let's take a look at some setups. And I'm going to start, as always, by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. This is the Hero chart, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. And I'm looking at the Hero signal for the S&P 500 index components. That is SPX, SPY, ES, and XSP. I have already separated out puts and calls. Orange line showing calls, blue line showing puts. The direction of the lines are indicative of options delta. So, for example, a rising line indicates a positive delta positions. In this case, traders buying calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy, in this case, ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. So this is a bullish opening drive. And that's exactly what happened today. The call buyers rushed in at the open. Zoom in on this just a little bit. Call buyers rushed in at the open. Full alert signals significant options activity. Get your attention. And the idea here was to look for a long. Traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. Again, they have to buy ES futures to hedge their delta exposure. This lasted about 20 minutes. And the Hero signal formed a call peak pattern. Call buyers took the foot off the gas, started selling a few calls, also started buying puts, that's shown by the falling blue line, and then price moved lower. And this is bearish momentum when the blue line and the orange line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator that lasted until about 11 for the first test, then 11:20 for the second test of that positive gamma zone. And in that case, the put buyers and call sellers took their foot off the gas, and they've pretty much held steady. The put traders have held steady. Now it looks like some call buyers are starting to come back in. But this was a very nice long setup for the first 20 minutes, and a even better bearish reversal. Call peak pattern, foot off the gas, call exhaustion. So let's zoom in on that. So this rally, sharp rally, began really right around 9 a.m. in the futures and accelerated at the open as the call buyers came in, right at the SPX 6250 level. You can see the green volume dots. Volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Very sharp rally. And then you can see some sellers starting to come in. Thought I turned that off. Sorry about that. Try that again. All right. You can see the passive sellers starting to come in. These are limit sell orders in the order book. There were some buyers coming in too, but the aggressive sellers, put buyers and call sellers, overwhelmed the passive buyers there, shown by the liquidity of the heat map, and price dropped sharply lower. And you can already see that ES was making broke this trend, broke this uptrend, started making a series of lower highs. Cumulative volume delta was falling. price dropped lower, and as it dropped, sell stop orders helped to fuel the move lower. Large traders were fading that move with iceberg orders. Very typical of large traders with iceberg orders. They will buy weakness and sell strength. That's what they were doing there. All right, so again, bullish opening drive, first 20 minutes, actually first, started around 9 a.m. So if you're trading futures, starting right around 9 a.m. until 10, very nice long, and then a short setup after the open, following the options traders and the call peak pattern in Hero, as well as call exhaustion. All right, pretty quiet since then. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ, very similar pattern. Let's take a look at Hero. All right, there is another signal that we can take a look at for the S&P 500 index. That is the S&P equity signal. I thought the index signal provided more clarity today, better information for trading. So this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. And just like the S&P 500, there are two signals that we can take a look at for NASDAQ. First of all, this is the index signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the NASDAQ components, QQQ and NDX. We've looked at those charts before. Just like the S&P 500 index, traders are buying calls, and they continue to buy calls a little bit longer than they did in the S&P 500 index. Also note the NQ peaked about 10 minutes later than the S&P 500. Let's take a look at that. Let's go back to Bookmap. So note the NQ peaks just after 10 a.m. That's right here, 10 a.m. And ES peaked before 10 a.m. right around 9:50. So in this case, ES definitely leading NASDAQ on the way down by about 10 minutes. All right, back to Hero. Let's take a look at the Mag 7. So this is the other signal that we can take a look at for the NASDAQ. It's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. And we'll take a look at most of those charts, stocks in just a minute. All right, so in this case, again, a very bullish opening drive. We'll see that in the stocks again. They took the foot off the gas just after 10 a.m. And again, remember, that's when NASDAQ starts to move lower. And this is showing price for QQQ. Bullish opening drive, and then call exhaustion, and price reverses lower. That fuel that it was driving price higher is gone now. Again, remember, traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. In this case, they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And when that fuel driving the stock higher is gone, the index reverse lower. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I'm going to start with Amazon. So I'm going to go through quite a few of the Mag 7 stocks. And we'll see a very similar pattern here. And we can take a look at some other stocks as well. All right, so first Mag 7 stock that I want to take a look at. Amazon, very bullish opening drive, call alert, flow alert, signal significant options activity, get your attention. And Amazon formed a beautiful call peak pattern here. This is a very reliable reversal pattern, and that's exactly what happened. Call buyers take the foot off the gas, traders start selling calls, price moves lower. Or let's take a look at Amazon. Go to Bookmap, go to Amazon, All right, Amazon, very sharp rally in the morning up to these areas of liquidity. That's at 223.90 up to, it's actually up to the 225 call wall. Let's take a look at that. So I'll have to zoom just a bit. So thinking back on my webinar from Monday, focusing on liquidity in the heat map, you can see all of the limit sell orders, passive orders at 223.90 up to 225 and above. 225 is call wall. You can see these limit sell orders, they were consumed, and then the buyers are exhausted, and price reverses lower at that call peak pattern when traders stop buying calls and start selling calls. All right, so that's Amazon. First of the bullish opening drive call peak patterns. Let's take a look at Google now. Similar setup. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Google. Let's zoom in just a little bit here. All right, so what this was, this is an institutional order here. Some large institution selling calls. That didn't last long. And the bottom of that, a flow alert comes in, signals significant options activity. These flow alerts can often signal a reversion and hedging flow, in this case from negative delta to positive delta. That's exactly what happened. Google found support at the 175. Hedge wall, key gamma strike, put wall, very important level, and price move higher. In this case, not a real prominent call peak, but definitely call exhaustion. So support at the 175 level, flow alert, bullish, opening drive up to call exhaustion, and then Google reverses lower, consolidates. Let's go back to Bookmap. There it is. You can also see the limit sell orders. Absorption at the 179.50 level. So there's the 175 level. Again, that was the hedge wall, key gamma strike, put wall. And looks like a pretty sharp reaction to that move lower just a few minutes ago. All right, next stock, Meta. All right, I want to zoom in on this just a little bit. Here. Just a little, let's first of all take a look and see what options traders are doing in Meta. Then we'll take a look at Bookmap, look at the heat map. So another bullish opening drive. Full alert, signals significant options activity again right at the open. Aggressive call buyers took the foot off the gas right around 10:10. Slowly accumulating calls, and Meta does respond to move a little bit higher, but now the call buyers again have taken the foot off the gas. So another stock, again, bullish opening drive, alert, call exhaustion, price consolidates. Want to point out something here in the heat map. Looks like a flip of the book here, order book. Looks like those orders were consumed. Then some limit buy orders come in, providing a little platform, a little bit of liquidity to lean on if you were entering a long position at that level. A little bit of support there. also looks like that came in a little bit late. All right, so that's Meta. Ken Economics, welcome. Glad you're here. Ken asks, which hero plan provides the data we're seeing? So this is Spotgamma, and the Spotgamma Alpha subscription provides Hero. So the Hero is available with the Spotgamma Alpha subscription. All right, so again, another Mag 7 stock with call buyers driving price higher in the first 20 to 30 to 40 minutes. Then call exhaustion or call peaks, and price either reverses lower or consolidates. All right, next stock, NVIDIA, actually Microsoft. Another bullish opening drive. Let's see what options traders are doing. Microsoft. Again, bullish opening drive. 500 key gamma strike call wall. Looks like that was a launching point for long just after the open. And a more prominent call peak. And in this case of Microsoft, traders are selling puts too. So bullish opening drive, bullish momentum, call peak pattern, call exhaustion, and traders stop selling puts, start buying puts, and Microsoft reverses lower. So two ways to play this. First of all, long at the bullish opening drive, and then a short with a call peak pattern, and then following the put buyers there. Either buying a put or taking a short. And Mohammed, welcome. Glad you're here. Mohammed asks, what is update on U.S. Tech 100? I'm not sure what that is. Is that NASDAQ? And if you are asking about NASDAQ, NQ, I've already talked about NQ. We can go back and take a look in a few minutes. I'm talking about some of the key components, some of the Mag 7 stocks, key components of NASDAQ right now. All right, so there's Microsoft. Bullish opening drive, call peak pattern, call exhaustion. Traders start buying puts. So a long setup, then a short. And you can see here at the top of this where the call peak, aggressive sellers start to come in. That's shown by the magenta volume dots. Remember, 500 was the call wall, key gamma strike. Looks like price did open above that level. Reverse lower after a 30-minute bullish opening drive. Then back down, found support at the 500 call wall, key gamma strike. All right, that's Microsoft. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been very strong today. And that was due to a very brief bullish opening drive that lasted about 15 minutes. Let's see what options traders are doing. So there's that very brief bullish opening drive. Flow alert again, signals significant options activity. Call buyers driving price higher, call peak, call exhaustion, and NVIDIA moves lower. So in this case, after that move higher, starting right around 10, traders are selling calls, buying puts. Again, that's bearish momentum. Price 50, traders stop buying puts, and they already had started buying calls again. Price reverses higher, slightly higher, right around 1050, or really stops falling. All right, back to Bookmap. Bullish opening drive. Looks like the sellers at 164.50, a little bit too high. So absorption to that level and call peak pattern. Traders start selling calls, buying puts. Price reverses lower. Traders start buying calls, stop buying puts, and now price consolidating just below VWAP right now. That's this line right here. All right, next stock, Tesla. All right, Tesla trading mostly lower today. Let's see what options traders have been doing. Go to Tesla. So traders have been selling calls all day in Tesla. So yesterday, this 300 key gamma strike was definitely in play. Just after the open, there was a reversal, so a bullish opening drive in Tesla yesterday up to 300 level. It reversed lower. I think it did that twice. And then I did post a long setup for Tesla yesterday where it reversed higher and shot higher above the 300 level before reversing lower toward for the close. And today that 300 level did act as resistance again, but that is holding as traders have continued to sell calls. All right, back to Bookmap. So here's the reversal at the 300 hedge wall. Key gamma strike setting up a very nice short. A little bit of chop here. Trend break. Next short entry below VWAP there. Now just consolidation, chop up and down around the 295 level. All right, that's Tesla. I've got a couple of other stocks to look at. We can take a look at AMD. AMD here is the main thing is the interaction at the 140 level, and that is the call wall key gamma strike. So that set up a short just after the open. That was not a lot of range. That was good for a point from 140 to 130. AMD traded back up to that level and then broke sharply lower right around 1030. And now looks like trying to make its way back up to the 140 call wall key gamma strike. And let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go back to Hero, go to AMD. Hero signal not as clear as some of the other stocks that we've looked at, like Amazon and NVIDIA. But this is a very prominent call peak pattern. So this is a very nice short setup with price running up into a level that you expect to act as resistance. And then a call peak pattern, very reliable reversal pattern. That's exactly what happened. There was some chop around that level. But again, remember, price did break lower as traders stopped buying calls, started selling calls, and again, price reversed lower. Zoom out now. Now AMD trying to recover, but that was a very nice short. Again, at a level you expect to act as resistance. Let's take a look at Palantir. Palantir, choppy hero signal, but mostly bullish today. Let's see if we can get any more clarity with the total signal. Not really. Go back to the call. So mostly call buyers driving price, but there are some put sellers. Note both these lines, the positive delta notional, indicating that for the day traders are buying calls and selling puts. All right, to Bookmap. Palantir. pretty choppy uptrend. But still an uptrend over what? Let's take a look at the market pulse price change indicator, see if that helps by timing these deeper pullbacks. It'll take maybe a minute for this to load. All right, so liquidity targets up above. And for Palantir, again, a Spotgamma level in play for today. 140 is the call wall key gamma strike. Note the high liquidity at that level. That did act as resistance earlier today, setting up about a 2-point short. Sellers have not really come back in. A little bit there. Doesn't look like as many sellers as there were before. And then this last test, there were really no sellers at the 140 level. All right, so that's Palantir. Zoom in just a little bit. All right, so the market pulse price change indicator is marking these deeper pullbacks, but it's marking some other pullbacks as well. So a little bit noisy in this case. So let's turn that off. All right, does anyone have anything they want me to take a look at? Any stocks? So what are you trading? Index futures, stocks? All right, let's take a look at the indexes. Then I have one more stock to take a look at. All right, so the ES now is grinding higher. It looks like it broke out above this 6250 level. So a test of that level. Again, remember the liquidity. We're not the only ones that know that that is a significant level. The SPX 6250 level. Looks like those limit sell orders were consumed. All right, now ES coming back down to test that level. So let's zoom in on this. See if that level acts as support. So far it is. There are a few buyers right below there. Oh, it looks like they just pulled. So they just pulled down to 93.25. And that was one large lot. So this line right here is helping to show I think that's the large lot tracker. So right before they pulled, there was that liquidity at 94.75 was looks like about half of that was one order, and that was pulled, moved lower. Let's see what options traders are doing. So let's go back. I'm going to shift to the total signal. Let's go to the S&P 500 index component. Zoom in. All right, still a sloppy, kind of a choppy signal. But just at the moment, traders are taking positive delta options positions. Delta notional for the day at minus 1.2 billion. That's fairly small. Let's take a look at something else. I'm going to take a look. Right now we're looking at all expirations. Let's take a look at next expiry. That's the teal line. And you can see these lines are almost identical. So this is indicating the options trades today for the index are almost all, actually this is a little bit more delta notional. So essentially all the options trades in the S&P 500 index are 0 DTE today. So that's what's driving price, these 0 DTE options trades in the S&P 500 index components. All right, let's go back to just all trades. Kim wants to take a look at Datadog. Sure, we can take a look at that now. I don't have that in Bookmap. We can take a look in Hero. I'm going to go back to puts and calls, go to Datadog. So pretty low notional value today. So Datadog has been in the news. Let's see what day it was. I did post this, a setup in Datadog. Let's see when that was. So that was a week ago. Actually on Thursday last week. News of inclusion in the S&P 500. Then I think Datadog was down yesterday on a downgrade and maybe just kind of chopping around today. All right, so there you go, Ken. So the notional, delta notional value, very small. Traders are net selling calls and buying puts in Datadog. It looks like now price has tested the 142 put wall, finding support at level. So that was the target if you took a short here as traders started selling calls. Take a short with a target, so a move from around 145.50 down to 142. And note the call buyers came in as Datadog approached that 142 put wall. So nice short somewhere right around 3.5 points in Datadog. All right, there you go, Ken. Hope that helped. Back to the index. Back to total signal. Still choppy hero signal. Let's check equities. All right, so traders are taking positive delta positions in the S&P 500 equities right now. This line is rising pretty sharply. Traders taking positive delta positions. Let's check the index signal. Index signal having a little bit more impact. Let's take a look at Bookmap and see if... All right, so there was another test of the 6250 level. ES did hold that level again. Resistance, now support at the 6250 level. And you're welcome, Ken. Let's take a look at one other stock, and I'll show you where I found this. This is Bloom Energy, and it rallied today on an upgrade from JP Morgan. And let's take a look. So I did hear about that. I watch CNBC in the morning before when I'm getting ready to, when I'm getting dressed, making breakfast, and I believe I saw that Bloom Energy on CNBC. Also, I use this cool tool called Edge to Trade. And I have set up scan criteria. And I noticed 3 trades this morning. First of all, at the top, the stock right here, Rhythm Pharmaceuticals. This is showing the chart here down below. Regular trading hours, this dark shaded area. So nice rally. Rally began before the open and continued after the open. Very nice steady uptrend. So it opened around 75 up to 88 today. So very nice uptrend. Rhythm Pharmaceuticals, and certainly that's not available on Hero. I don't know if it even trades options or not. Probably does, but it's not available on Hero. None of these stocks are available on Hero. And the next one is Penguin Solutions. And another nice steady uptrend for most of the day. Stronger in the morning. Up from about 2050 to 2250, maybe 23, trading 23 now. So this is showing the change from the open. So 9% plus for these stocks. Then here's the other one, Bloom Energy, the one that I have in Bookmap. So a rally from 26 at the open, up above 29. So another nice steady uptrend. So this is one way to find stocks to trade. This is edge to trade. Set up your scan criteria, and you can find stocks that are moving. And there were some other stocks that were moving this morning that really kind of fizzled out. So you have to really watch for a few minutes. Also, read about the news and make a decision about the quality of the news, as well as the quality of the stock. Here's another one, this Pro Kidney. Very brief. Bullish opening drive, then reverse lower. But these 3 at the top were all good, very good longs. All right, back to Hero, back to Bookmap. All right, so again, just another way to find stocks to trade. So I've talked about 2 approaches for trading stocks. One is based on options trades and reactions at key Spotgamma levels. And the other is just looking for stocks in the news, stocks that have announced news, clinical trial results, upgrades, whatever. So 2 ways to find stocks and setups. And then, of course, the indexes, again, responding to options trades, market maker hedging activity, as well as buyers and sellers here and shown a Bookmap. All right, last call for questions, comments, stocks. And Mohammed earlier had asked about the Tech 100. Again, I'm assuming meaning NASDAQ. All right, so NASDAQ bumping up again against the upper daily expected move, acting as resistance, finding support at the QQQ 554 level. Then resistance at the NQ, upper daily expected move. And Michael says, thanks, nice presentation. You're welcome. Michelle? Michelle? Sorry about pronouncing your name. But thanks for your kind words. All right, let's take one last look at ES. Still stuck in a range. Again, finding support at the 62.50 level. Which was resistance earlier. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. And, I forgot to stop at 2 p.m. to look for a reaction to the FOMC minutes. And it doesn't look like there was much. This is just a continuation of this uptrend. Oops. All right, so really not much reaction. This might have been a little bit of reaction to the FOMC minutes. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again. Bye.